Hello again, everyone, and welcome back to Active Retro. My name is James, and today we're continuing on with our look at the Rampage, the movie figures by Lanard Toys. The subject of this review is the deluxe Big City Brawl set featuring George, a helicopter, and a helicopter pilot. Does this gorilla mean business, or monkey business? Let's find out. The packaging for George is just like the box that either Ralph or Lizzie come in. It's large and rectangular with a big open window that starts on the left side and wraps its way around to the front. You have a very clear view of the box contents, including George, a chunk of barbed wire, and a helicopter with pilot. The movie logo and artwork of the monsters appear several times on the box, notably on the top and front. On the back, there's a quick synopsis of the movie that tells you a little bit more about George, as well as an image of the toy that highlights his jaw-chomping and arm-smashing actions. Out of the box and in hand, George feels like a solid chunk of plastic, and that's because he is. As far as posing goes, what you see is what you get with George. No joints in the head, left arm, or back legs leaves him in a default position, and that's how he's going to stay. George's right arm is able to swing out at the shoulder, and while you can rotate it forward, it immediately snaps back into place because of the arm-smashing feature. This spring-loaded gimmick actually has a fair amount of force to it, making George more than capable of flinging about small objects. That kind of worked that time, I'm impressed. George also has a jaw-chomping action, which simply means that his mouth can manually open and close. That's it. There is no spring mechanism keeping the mouth shut, only friction. Despite this, George is capable of holding smaller objects in his teeth. The sculpting on George is well done, capturing a lot of the finer details such as the hair, muscles, and teeth. There is some nice paintwork on this figure, notably with the gradients between the skin and fur. It actually looks like there's some depth to the hair on George's back and arms, rather than them just being flat chunks of molded plastic. Just like with Ralph, I can always appreciate when a company takes the time to paint the finer details, like the teeth, gums, and tongue on a figure. In addition to George, this Big City Brawl set also includes a helicopter and its pilot. The helicopter has a two-tone color scheme going on, black and metallic gray. There are a lot of sculpted details going on all over, but the only paint applications on this vehicle are a Lieutenant Foster and Lieutenant Douglas decal, and the number 19. The blades on the helicopter spin fast and freely with a simple flick. However, the rear rotator assembly is fixed and cannot move. Both of the rocket packs and both of the single missiles can be removed from the helicopter and then simply pegged back on. The missiles do have a tendency to spontaneously fall off, so be careful not to lose them. Remember how I said that George felt like solid plastic? This helicopter is the complete opposite of that. I understand this vehicle has to be hollow in order to accommodate the pilot, but the plastic still feels thin and fragile nonetheless. Moving on to the pilot, this figure is perfectly adequate. It's 3 4 inches tall and has 13 points of articulation, as well as some nicely sculpted and nicely painted details. Judging by both the scar and sour look on this soldier's face, I'm guessing he isn't a fan of giant mutated animals. Despite this pilot being taller than his own helicopter, the figure can just barely squeeze into the cockpit with a little bit of effort. It looks a little awkward and the scale is way off, but it works in the end. Okay, so this is the part of the review where we get opinion heavy. I had a lot of really good things to say about Ralph, and I'm going to have a lot of good things to say about Lizzie. But as far as George is concerned, this Big City Brawl set is extremely underwhelming. In the Ralph review, I mentioned that I would have paid $15 just for Ralph. If I asked myself, would I pay $15 for George by himself? The answer would have to be no. This figure is fine on its own, but you're not buying this George to display it by itself, you're buying this figure to display it with Ralph and Lizzie. Maybe I'm being a stickler here, but scale can't just get thrown out the window simply because this is science fiction and a toy. A normal gorilla is twice the size of a regular wolf, so it's only logical that a mutated gorilla would be twice the size of a mutated wolf. I know this, you know this, and Lanard Toys knows this, otherwise they wouldn't have made the mega-sized George figure that only cost $5 more than this Big City Brawl set. Rant's over, promise. Simply put, this George is fine, but he's redundant. If you're a completionist, then yes, buy the George Big City Brawl set. Otherwise, save your money and put it towards the Mega George. Makes the most sense. This has been a review of the Walmart exclusive Big City Brawl George set from the Rampage the Movie toy line by Lanard Toys. If you enjoyed this review, please hit like or check out the reviews playlist on the Active Retro channel. There's a lot of cool stuff over there. Feel free to leave your thoughts or questions down below in the comments, and I will do my best to field them as best as I can. I was redundant. More Rampage reviews are coming soon, so hit subscribe to follow along, and of course, be sure to find me over on Instagram at Active Retro. Thank you for watching.